Takes us to 16 within the discussion agenda, administrative priorities for 2024-2025. Dr. Ross?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I just wanted to, for discussion, to go over, it's customary to talk about in our first meeting in July, the administrative priorities for the upcoming year, 24-25. And we have three priorities that we would like to cover: classroom supports, teacher retention and recruitment, and the implementation of the master facilities plan. I would like to start off first with teacher retention and recruitment, and I'm going to ask our Director of Personnel, Dr. Reggie Wicker, to come forth and talk about some of the things that we're doing in teacher retention and recruitment, the why, the how, the what of teacher retention and recruitment. Dr. Wicker.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ross, thank you for this evening. Just want to briefly share with you just a couple of things and highlight as it pertains to retention and recruitment. As we all know, that there is a shortage of teachers that we are experiencing not only in our state but across the entire nation, and we're doing some things right here in our district to try to take care of that situation. So you asked the question, why retention? Number one is because of the continuity and also because of just what it does to maintain our education across our entire district when it comes to stability and providing a quality education, and also performs those relationships between our teachers and our students. So that's the why it's so important to retain our teachers inside the district. When it comes to our recruiting teachers in our different institutions and partnerships, we're very happy about those things we have in place right now. It gives us a chance to have a very broad and diverse opportunity to pull some best of the best teachers, if you will, from those institutions. As you can see on the screen there, we have different ones that we have partnered with that have been very instrumental in us being able to pull those teachers and also be able to have that diversity within our teacher pool. When it comes to recruiting, we've done a lot of things within the district to recruit teachers. As you can see there are just a lot of different avenues that we're using to recruit the teachers here in our district. Again, we're thinking outside the box, doing things that have not always been done, things such as having coffee, having a coffee connection, if you will. That was outside the box, but it proves to be very fruitful for us when it comes to, again, retaining and also recruiting some teachers. One of the things I remember of a conversation was the teacher said that this was much different for them, but they really enjoyed it because it provided that one-on-one opportunity to meet with principals and, again, have a very one-on-one opportunity to see what the principal's offering inside his or her building. And then lastly, when it comes to the pathways, we've talked about the different pathways that we're using. Here in D5, we have been very fortunate to be able to pull a lot of our support staff members across the line, if you will, and they have become certified staff members. So I'm in the office and I'm listening to Ms. Susan Nola, who's talking to Melanie Cohen, saying, you have taken another one of the support staff. But the great thing about that is that we are growing our own inside the district, so we're very proud, and that's really been beneficial in keeping those numbers up with our vacancies. So I'll stand for any questions. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's as much of an education school as it used to be, but is Winthrop still got a large? Because I didn't see Winthrop, or were they on there?
They were not on there, Ms. Hutt, I don't believe.
Maybe it's not Winthrop. Is that one that used to be the teachers?
Mm-hmm. But
Okay, is it just too far away? Because
No.
Are those all local more?
No, we have had conversations with them. Some of the schools, they had a little bit less of the teacher population, ones coming through in the teacher ed program, but we have been in contact with Winthrop as well, though. Other questions?
Questions? Not seeing any.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wicker. And as we work with this, we have really focusing on listening to our faculty advisory. This is all of our Teachers of the Year across the district. And we've asked them to spend last year discussing ways of improving the workplace. And we found some common threads. Two very common threads that came out of this work group. Now, again, they spent an entire year working on what can we do to improve workplace conditions in Lexington Richland 5. It came down to two themes: appreciation. They said, I need to feel valued, and recognition that I am growing. And so that spawned into a conversation of, you may have heard of Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. Well, to make it appropriate for the workplace, we went through the 5 languages of appreciation for the workplace. And we talked about quality time, gifts. We talked about words of affirmation, acts of service, and physical touch that is appropriate to the employee handbook. And when you look at all of these things that you find, research that we found in our district is no different from what we see across the country, is that there is no dominant appreciation for all of our employees. And so when we talk about someone needs to be appreciated, you really have to look at the individual. So we asked all of our teachers of the year, which one of these is your dominant, most important workplace appreciation? Just listening to the teachers, you can see there was not one item that dominated the entire group. Each one of our teachers of the year said something different. But you notice while you know, the raises that we gave were huge, the bonuses that we give are huge, gifts don't show up on this chart. Neither does physical touch, so we don't high-five too many people either. But what does show up is words of affirmation, the quality time, the acts of service. And so what's important is to listen to our teachers about what their value proposition is. And it's just the same as the students, that they want to feel loved and that they are able to grow. And so what does loving and growing our teachers look like in District 5, our employees look like in District 5? And that's what I want to talk about, our second administrative priority, and that's classroom supports. Each board meeting during the year, we give you the data on our growth. We show you those blue bars and those red bars. We're a district that puts our data out front for the public to see. You can see in spring of last year, while we grew, the number of students that were on grade level versus the number of students that were off of grade level. If you look at spring of this year, you can see growth. We are growing, our teachers are working extremely hard, but we still see those staggering red bars of students who are not on grade level. When you break that down by the numbers, we finished this year with 2,315 students who are not doing math at grade level on the secondary, 2,109 students who are not reading at grade level. This is my focus. This is the focus of the administration, to make sure that we're supporting the teachers to get our students reading and mathematic literacy, and being able to do it on a grade level is the greatest responsibility we have as a school district. But I want to tell you this, it would be wrong to say, well, to put this all on the teachers, because these numbers represent growth. These numbers represent the number of students who weren't on grade level, that they grew to grade level. So while there's still, there's amazing work by these teachers, there's still a lot of work to do. And you heard what they said. They want acts of service. How can we help them with this? They want to be appreciated. Are we speaking to their experience of what they're seeing in the classroom? We've had these in our strategic plans. We have great goals. We have great strategies. And I think now it's about executing that. I played football. Coach said that every play I draft should score. I'll never forget that. Now at Duke, we didn't score a lot with those plays, but they said it should, and it came down to execution. It's the ability to execute. So it's not changing the play. It's really about how we can execute this. And right now, we have to work together. Our school district has 24 strategies to turn those red bars into blue bars. What are the strategies of the students? What are the strategies of the home and the community? And we're going to have to work together to overcome, so that we can get all of our students as in those blue bar sections at grade level. This is the greatest thing that we can do to make that promise of education for their future, is to put them on reading grade level. When we look at our vision, we say we love and we grow our students. We asked our parent advisory, what's your expectation for School District 5? Each one of our parent advisory members wrote what they wanted from School District 5, and we put that in this word cloud. What's very clear is we say for our students, they say for my child. Each one of them, when they speak about what they want from Lexington Richland 5, it's this is what I want for my child or for my children. When we ask the two verbs, and our two verbs from 998 employees of School District 5, love and grow were the dominant verbs. When we talk to our parent advisory, the dominant verbs were be and learn. What I want my child to be, what I want my child to learn. This is very clear. And so as we talk about that, the question is, how do we go from a system that is designed to serve our children to one that gets down to my child? And that's a new world for us. This is individualized learning in a mass education system. It can't operate the same and deliver these new outcomes. As we said with the app, you know, we sent out newsletters. Some of our parents wanted in print, some wanted in emails, some wanted in apps. As we move to a mass education, from mass education to individualized, we need all three parties acting in the same principles. Here's the struggle and why I'm making the case for these classroom supports. All of our classrooms are different. The chairs may be the same, but the students are different. At the 135th day count, we had 17,323 students. To assume they are as standard as those chairs is a fallacy. In general education, we're blessed in School District 5 that we set 25 as a max. We certainly appreciate that because the state will go up to 35. In kindergarten, we have 25, but we put 2 adults in there. And that is a beautiful thing watching those 2 adults get those kindergartners together. But in first and third grade, it's 22. Title I is tied to poverty. We see that while poverty is not a cause of lower performance, it is highly correlated to it. And so our Title I schools, we put to 18 and 22. Special education, we put no more than 12. And was talking to our chief of academics and our chief of student services. We would never put 12 ED students in a room. Those needs would be smaller than that. So what we looked at, and I asked Ms. McCaskill, and I appreciate her pulling this together with accountability, just to show if poverty is highly correlated to academic success, find a middle or a medium poverty school in our district, one classroom, and the average English class in that building. And I'm not going to identify the teacher. I don't think I know the teacher. You don't know the teacher. So we pulled one at random, medium poverty, average, I use that word loosely, average class. And this was a class that we pulled from a middle school. This is what our teachers are getting ready to face in a few weeks. This is 21 students in the class. There are 8 different reading levels in that one class. Now remember, this is spring data. I just showed you how our teachers grew the students. The teacher has grown the students, and still the students are at the second grade level. If we, as District 5, grow these 2 second grade reading levels, they're going to be in the 9th grade, but they have second grade reading levels. If we grow them 1 academic year every year in high school, they'll graduate with a 6th grade reading level. I ask you, if you're the teacher, there's a teacher who's dealing with this. This is not our worst case. It's not our worst case. This is average. What book do you use? What reading level do you assign? So when the teachers say, are you using words of affirmation? Do you understand our experiences? Do you understand what we're going through? Do you understand what, there are 8 different reading levels for an 8th grade class. This is just reading levels. Let's look at achievement. Red bars and blue bars. Blue and green represents the blue bars on our graph. All students who are in yellow, orange, and red represent the red bars in our class. This is what the teacher has to face in about 2 weeks. This level of achievement in one English class. How many lesson plans do you need to write in order to meet this? 86% of the students grew and are still below grade level in achievement. And someone will say to me, Dr. Ross, you're not packing these schools up. You should put 4 more kids in that room. This is the reality that is on the ground for our median class. I didn't show you our worst case scenario. And then, on top of this, just trying to get achievement, this teacher has accommodations. They have IEP accommodations, 504, behavioral issues, students that don't speak English. They have attendance plans. They have the emotional issues and the behavioral issues and the attendance issues. Each one of these things are impacting us every day, and they're told, you have to do it all by yourself. The model of one teacher, one classroom doing all of this every single day. And as we grow, we are not getting more and more classrooms where all the students are in the same performance band. Here's what's interesting, and you can't see it from your seats. I want you to look at the green. That's the number of students who are on grade level. The percentile gap. If you're in the 61st percentile to the 80th percentile, we call you on grade level. Now let's go back to for my child. Your child is on the 61st percentile. We will say you're on grade level. Is that what you want for your child? Look at the red. These are the children who are below 21st percentile in School District 5 election-rich counties. I'm asking this board this year to help us provide our teachers with supports. I want to pay them everything I can. I promise you I do, but we got to put them in conditions where they can be successful. And they need supports to do that. I haven't shown you the worst case scenario. I haven't shown you where 100% of the students are below the grade level. And this teacher is expected to meet achievement with them. This is our reality now. We just showed you average. Now we can show you we can show you our AP classes and our AGP classes, but when we show you the average, it just tells you the reality that's on the ground for our teachers. Teacher retention and recruitment is about having the best environment where our teachers can come. It's not about overcharging any community member. It's about providing the supports for these reality numbers that are on the ground. And as we sat down and I looked at Ms. McCaskill, and she showed me, I said, what are you going to do about it? And so we have a plan. We're going to listen to the teachers again and just go back to what they told us. The teacher said, I want to teach where I feel valued and I am growing. If we look at that result, we look at that pie chart, they give us a model in which we can support them. They say, we want words of affirmation. When we speak up here, we speak in public as leaders, are we talking about their experiences and their contributions? Or do we even know what they're dealing with? There is no one book that teaches that entire class. You have to have a range of materials that will teach that entire class. Are we speaking to their contributions and their experiences? When we say quality time, we at the district office are investing heavily in smaller learning environments and professional learning communities, because if you have a class with that many different learning bands, we need to work together in order to address that. And then acts of service. We want to put extra bodies around our teachers. People to help with the discipline, people to help with the with tutoring and getting students caught up in deficit learning. There's more supports, more emotional supports, academic supports, behavior supports, so that our teachers for 180 and 80 days of instruction don't have to do all of that heavy lift. When I started teaching, and I know, that was some time ago being in the classroom, but you could condense maybe to 2 or 3 reading bands. You didn't have 8 in one class. Ms. Tucker has just come out the classroom, and as an exploratory teacher, we increased the range. So for her class, for a 7th grade reading level, only in that classroom, about 6 of the kids can read the book. Everybody else need to be accommodated for our students, for my child. And so we will, I'll ask that the board join us this year as we develop ways to deliver this environment for our teachers. The last item is implementation of the 5-year master facilities plan. And for that, as we talked about, we want to put our students and our teachers in an environment where if we're going to be doing some innovative things, some small groups, it's not in the traditional rectangle. It's breakout rooms. It's smaller learning environments. It's new innovations to meet those different learning bands. The 4 different learning bands, the kids that are below the 21st percentile, having opportunities for them to do things within the class. Taking an old model of facility structures into the new challenges of today, we really need to improve all of our sites and all of our facilities. We've seen the numbers. I would argue that that's August 23. From what we have today, we're going to continue to have a growing problem of the issues that we have. We have a plan for if the referendum passes. We do not have a plan for if it fails. And that is something that we're going to we've talked about. What data do we pull back? How much do we get? When do we get that? But I think it puts us definitely at odds. But we have to have a plan. If Dutch Fork's renovation is not important, if the vestibules are not the number one thing, if the security items that are identified in the MPS report are not, what are those things that we're going to put at the top and using the money that we get in 2026? So these are the priorities of the administration. We only can help and address this together. And so I look forward to bringing these for future discussions as we outline solutions for these 3 areas. So with that, Mr. Vice Chair, I conclude and stand for questions.
Any questions, comments? Ms. Huddle?
I just really want to compliment you. That presentation, I've been on the board for 3.5 years. It was probably the most powerful presentation I've ever seen. It really was. I just don't, I mean, I go and visit the schools, but even then, you don't know. The teacher, they don't have stickers on their foreheads that say what grade level they read on. But even then, you see the struggles. I mean, I go home and I couldn't do it. I mean, it's just a very physically demanding job, let alone what you just went over. So I just really, I mean, in the time I've been on the board, probably the 2 most powerful things I've ever seen are way back during COVID, which was a miserable time. Dr. Van Holden put together this, just glorious, and it made you feel like you finally understood it, right? And I think that had the same power for me. So I just want to compliment you, and I feel really good that understanding where we need to be, we can get there. I know we won't get to 100% of every kid on grade level, but that if we know where we need to be, we have a lot of really smart people, committed people that work for our district across the board, from the very top to every single person in our cafeterias, everywhere. And that we have a lot of great parents who want what's best for their children, and that when we work together, I feel really good about it.
Yeah, I'm going to just add to that. And Ms. Hutt, I appreciate you saying that. I will tell you that Many years ago, I went to Charlotte to go through a Stephen Covey. You remember Stephen Covey, 7 Habits? Went to a training so I could be a presenter and take it back to the schools and help with some schools that were struggling. And the key concept, I guess, that they kept pulling was getting everybody pulling in the same direction. If teachers are frustrated because of that gap, and maybe that, and actually, Dr. Russell, I was going to say the same thing. Ms. Huddle said it. That was powerful. It's the best presentation I think I've seen since I've been on this. Well, I don't know, no question. It was the best presentation I've seen. But that gap is the frustrating thing for teachers because they don't feel like people understand them fully to what they're going through. And could you imagine having kids in 8th grade on 2nd grade level and 3rd grade, and so, but they're being told they can only use one book. And so their kids can't read it, they can't comprehend it. But anyway, I think if that would be a great mantra for our board is to, and you keep us on top of that, Dr. Ross, is, you know, one of the things that Covey says, we are what we repeatedly do. And as a district, if we can all pull in the same direction and support these folks over here and support our principals and our teachers and our parents and get everybody pulling in the same direction, I think we can do great things. But when people are pulling in different directions, you're just not going to make progress. But thank you for that presentation. I appreciate it.
Okay. And I'll just say this. Crushed it. That was a great one. Shake and bake. No, that was very powerful, almost as powerful as my motions to adjourn. But but we will continue. Any more conversations pertaining to Dr. Ross's discussion agenda? I'm seeing none. We can go to 17, which is near and dear to me. Would anybody like to take this in my absence?
Mr. Vice Chair, I have a motion.
Got it.
I'd move to adjourn this meeting.
Any seconds? Ms. Huddle, any conversations? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye, and that is 5, no opposed. Ms. Blackburn-Hines has been able to sign off today. So that adjourns the meeting. Thank you.